guys, Triarius Wargaming here. So I wanted to talk you through some of the games I've played this summer. So I got some short battle reports for you. I'm just lumping them all together in one video here. So these are some kind of quick after action reports. We've got World War II, we've got Ancients, and we have got English Civil War. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll take you through what I got up to this summer in terms of actual games. The most recent game I played was my Barbarians versus Romans game, which was held at the Carnage Con convention here in Vermont, which is the only gaming convention in the state. So yeah, this was a 6-player game I put on. There was a waiting list for the game. So that previous shot took you down the German lines. This is down the Roman lines. I love the look of these long lines of troops kind of fading into the distance. And I'm even going to be expanding these armies more. I got more Roman cavalry and auxiliaries to do. Anyways, it was a great game. The Romans ended up losing. Here you can see they failed some activations with some of their troops. Got left behind there. It was interesting actually. The Barbarians won this game without ever really defeating a legionary unit. So the legionary units ended up remaining intact. But what the Barbarians were able to do is destroy the Roman cavalry and destroy the Roman auxiliaries on the flank. And through that way, they were able to win the game without actually even having to take on the legionaries. Well, with that, I mean, they fought the legionaries, but they never actually defeated the legionaries themselves. Our next game is an actual battle from World War II. The Battle of the La Fière Causeway, which was, you can see that plastic sheeting in the background is flooded fields. So during the D-Day landings, the Germans had, blown up a bunch of dams and things and flooded the low-lying farmland, leaving only these causeways across the water. So these were a key objective for the U.S. airborne to seize during the D-Day drops. This battle, St. Mary Glees was quite nearby. That one seems to take all the glory, I guess. But this was an extremely bloody and, semi-important, I guess, actual battle during the D-Day drops. The battle to secure the causeway. And this was based off an actual action. So all the troops are real to what was available there on D-Day. So the Germans actually... The Germans had, a regular infantry company for the game, but they also, for armor, they had a Panzer training battalion, was what was the only thing available. So we actually had a company of French tanks captured, I guess, in, when the initial invasion of France. So they were kind of some crummy char tanks. I actually took control of the Germans for this game. I had a partner, but I was kind of the main commander of the Germans. And all these models are these are my friend's collection. So this is 1/72 scale stuff. I was kind of heading the Germans, and there was two or three other players on the American side. So right here, this was kind of the decisive action. So my troops needed to secure the causeway after the Paris had taken it. The Paris tried to flank my advance up the road, but due to activations not quite working out for them, I managed to catch them in the middle of the cornfield, basically pin them down and destroy them. So that wiped out, catching catching a whole platoon out in the open basically did it for the Americans, and then I was able to, mop them up in the village. So here's our next game, Seleucids versus Ptolemies. This was my Seleucid army against a different friend's Ptolemaic army. I drove down to Massachusetts to play against him. So this was a really fun game. Again, my kind of go-to Ancients rule set is to the strongest. And we were kind of loosely refighting, some of those successor battles, like later successor battles. So yeah, here's my army from the side. I loaded the left flank with cavalry, all my heavy cavalry and elephant, and then had pikemen basically all down the line. My army was pretty pike heavy, and also heavy on the heavy cavalry. What I didn't have is any light cavalry, which my opponent had several units of light cavalry and the light camels as well, screening his troops. So yeah, initially my heavy cavalry charge seemed to work out for me. I kind of ended up being able to brush aside most of his cavalry. However, his light cavalry managed to continually evade and escape. So moving down the line of pikes, this was a pretty classic successor clash in the middle here. And, the fighting was not really decisive. On the far right flank, I know it says left flank, but the far right flank here, I had placed this terrain, I placed all this dead ground, because we did blind deployments, we drew deployment maps. I thought he would drop all his cavalry on the right flank, which it turns out we both dumped our cavalry on the other side. So I thought he would drop his cavalry here, but he didn't. So the terrain really didn't. It just really got in the way of my own troops. I wanted to slow down his cavalry. So yeah, I kind of charged in here, and I was actually pretty successful to start. However, his light cavalry was able to continually evade, and that's what really got him the victory. This was an incredibly close game. I think it was, you have victory medals in this system. I think it was actually 1 medal to 1 medal at the end, and whoever lost the unit next was gonna lose. So it basically came down to who was gonna lose their last unit, basically, which is always a great time when it's that close. Down the pikes here, the action was not really fully decisive here. I ended up getting my elephants matched up with his cavalry, which was a great matchup for me. But his light cavalry ending up escaping. They were actually able to get some flank charges on me and actually take out my heavies. I took some really bad rolls. I could not catch his light cavalry, and then I got some bad. He managed to evade them around, dance around, get them on my flank. And then the flank charges, against my heavily armored cataphracts, I have a 5-up save on those out of 10. But he managed to land those hits, and that's what really won it for him. So here's our next World War II game. This was Chain of Command. All my models in this one, U.S. Army versus Panzergrenadiers. So this was a game I actually put on with my sister. And this was outside on the ping pong table. So I was the German Panzergrenadiers. This was my first time playing Chain of Command. She, her objective was to push down the road, basically. This is her troops spawning on the road, pushing down. And what she was really able to do with great effect is use the U.S.'s special, their special ability for Chain of Command is walking fire, and she was really just able to put down a ton of fire marching down this road. And even though my troops were in the hedgerows, she kind of got benefit from cover too, and that walking fire really allowed her to push forward. On the other side, my troops moved up, put on a defensive position behind the stone wall. She sent another squad through the woods to kind of tie me down here. She attempted to kind of flank here. I ended up cutting down a fire team there. And then I myself tried to send some flankers over, but in the end she ended up, with that walking fire and everything, she ended up just inflicting mass casualties. So here's our last game. This was all using my friends. I think these are 10mm collection. Another friend of mine, Jim. So I went over to his place to play his English Civil War stuff. This was the Battle of Stratton using the To the Strongest rules, but the English Civil War version, which he plays a lot. And he's actually writing a campaign book for this, so we're testing out the campaign scenario. I was a raw parliamentarian force. He was kind of a more veteran royalist force. I ended up managing to hold the hedge lines just about. It was a really close game. I had a unit of commanded shot, which in this rule set actually suck, but they ended up winning the game for me. His was down to the wire. They were a thorn in his side, and then his cavalry ended up charging across an open field to wipe out the commanded shot, but I guess the field was full of rabbit holes. That's what we were kind of joking about, molehills, rabbit holes, and the cavalry totally whiffed, and my commanded shot ended up wiping them out, giving me the win. But it was a really hard-fought battle, really fun as well. So that's kind of my game roundup here. Sorry for no video. I just I didn't take any. I was too busy playing. But I hope to do some real battle reports over the winter. I think it would be easier to do them just as solo games. But anyways, thank you for the time, and have a great day. Bye.